Some questions in history don't have answers. Not yet. Maybe not ever. A machine too advanced for its century. A language no one has ever been able to read. Somewhere out there sits a city built by hands nobody can name. 1901. Sponge divers off a Greek island find something buried inside a shipwreck. A wreck resting on the ocean floor for 2,000 years, waiting for someone to find it. Inside it, a lump of corroded bronze that nobody thinks twice about, until it cracks open and a single gear falls out. It took a century of X-rays to understand what they had actually found. Over 30 interlocking bronze gears built to track the sun, the moon, even the Olympic Games. A mechanical computer centuries ahead of anything else on record at the time. Nothing close to it shows up again for over 1,000 years. No blueprints, no second one. Just this single machine sitting alone in history, and one unanswered question. Who else knew how to build it? And where did that knowledge go? Somewhere in a library sits 240 pages of a language that has never been cracked. Not by code breakers, not by linguists, not by the machines we now throw at ancient text. The plants drawn beside the words don't match anything that grows on Earth. Diagrams of stars, of tangled pipes, of women bathing in pools of green liquid, page after page of it, written in an alphabet built entirely from scratch. Radiocarbon dating places the parchment in the early 1400s. Real ink, real age, real effort. Every decade, someone comes forward claiming they have finally solved it. And every decade, that claim quietly falls apart under review. The Voynich manuscript keeps its secret, page after unreadable page. Draw a straight line across 8 kilometers of desert, not with a ruler, but with your own feet, one line at a time. The Nazca people did this without ever seeing it from above. No planes, no drones, just patience. Now do that hundreds of times. Add a hummingbird the size of a football field, a spider, a monkey with a spiral tail, shapes only visible from high in the sky. They made these by clearing dark surface stone, exposing the pale ground hidden underneath. From the desert floor, most of these lines look like nothing, just scattered rock and dust. Their true shape only reveals itself from a perspective the builders themselves never had. 1936, Baghdad. A clay jar, a copper cylinder, an iron rod, sealed together like a recipe. Run the numbers, and the object checks every box for a simple electrochemical cell. Fill it with something acidic, like vinegar, and it actually produces a small electric charge. But the paperwork is missing. No wires found nearby. No devices it could have ever powered. We built a machine that works. We just can't prove anyone 2,000 years ago meant it to. In Cusco, Peru, stands a wall of stone blocks fitted together so tightly, you can't slip a blade between them. No mortar, no cement, nothing holding it up but the precision of the cut itself. The Inca did this without iron tools, without wheels, without animals strong enough to haul stone this size. Run your hand along the seam, and you'll find a joint cut with a level of care that borders on obsession. This wall has survived earthquakes that leveled colonial buildings built centuries later, right beside it. The stones flex, resettle, and hold. Nobody today can fully explain exactly how. In China's Zhejiang province, fishermen kept losing gear into ponds that seemed to have no bottom. In 1992, someone finally decided to pump the water out completely. Underneath, 24 enormous man-made caverns carved directly into solid rock. Tool marks run in perfect parallel lines across every wall, deliberate and unbroken. No historical record mentions them. No legend agrees on who built them or why the work stopped. Millions of cubic feet of stone were carved out and carried away, and the reason went with it. Death Valley, California. Flat, cracked, brutally dry, and scattered across it. Heavy rocks with long trails behind them, like they dragged themselves across the desert floor with nobody watching and nobody to explain it. For decades, this had no answer that fit. No footprints beside the trails, no machinery tracks. The real explanation only came in 2014, using GPS trackers and time-lapse cameras. A rare combination. A thin sheet of ice forms after cold desert nights, then breaks into panels. Light wind pushes those panels across a layer of meltwater, shoving the rocks along for yards at a time. It took modern sensors to finally catch something that had been quietly happening for centuries. Easter Island, nearly 900 carved stone heads staring out from a strip of land in the middle of the Pacific. Thousands of kilometers from anywhere. The nearest inhabited land is over 1,000 miles away. The Rapa Nui people carved these between the 13th and 16th centuries using nothing but stone tools. What's less settled is how they moved statues weighing up to 80 tons across the island. No wheels, no draft animals, just rope, timber, and a method that still isn't fully agreed on. That same effort, on an island stripped of nearly all its trees, may have played a role in what came next. A population collapse, the Moai simply watched happen, standing silent on an emptying coastline. Between 2600 and 1900 BCE, a civilization rose along the Indus River. They built cities with grid-patterned streets and indoor plumbing before most of the ancient world had either. They also left behind thousands of short inscriptions on seals, on pottery, on tiny clay tablets, a script that has never been translated. Not once, not by anyone in over a century of trying. Most of these texts run only 4 or 5 symbols long, just enough to tease an answer, never enough to prove one. No bilingual inscription, no ancient key has ever turned up to translate it against 1929. Inside a former Ottoman naval library, a strange map surfaces, drawn on gazelle skin. It was drawn in 1513 by an admiral named Piri Reis, pieced together from older charts. Some of those source maps, by his own notes, reached back as far as the time of Alexander the Great. The map shows the coastlines of South America and West Africa with striking accuracy for its era. It's the southern edge that won't stop the argument. Some read it as a match to Antarctica's ice-free coast, centuries before anyone properly surveyed it. Orkney, Scotland, 1850. A brutal storm tears across the coast, stripping the grass from a sand dune. For centuries, nothing beneath it seemed unusual. Just another windswept stretch of shoreline. Then the wind and the waves finally exposed what had been hidden underneath the whole time. Stone walls, stone beds, stone shelving. An entire village nobody knew was there. Skara Brae had been sealed under sand for roughly 4,500 years, since before the pyramids of Giza. 10 homes, linked by covered stone passageways, each built to the same careful plan. Then, around 2500 BCE, the village was abandoned. Quickly and completely. Beads left in the walls, furniture still in place. No sign of struggle, just an empty village and a dune that closed over it for 4,000 years. Under a hill outside Xi'an, China, lies a burial chamber that has never been opened. Thousands of life-sized clay soldiers stand guard outside it. An army built for a tomb, not the tomb itself. Each face carved individually, no two exactly alike, frozen in silent formation for over 2,000 years. Modern scans have picked up unusually high mercury levels in the soil around the mound. An old account describes rivers of liquid mercury flowing through a miniature landscape beneath the ground, and a ceiling painted with stars. Nobody has confirmed how much of that is true. The chamber stays sealed on purpose. The air alone could destroy what's inside, so the most famous tomb on Earth stays closed, guarded by an army standing outside a door no living person has opened. 12 objects, 12 unfinished stories. Somewhere between the gears, the stone, and the silence, the truth is still buried, literally in some cases. History isn't a closed book. It's a book with pages missing. And every few years, somebody finds one more.